Matter of fact, the Bible said that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Now think about this. Moses has that vision in his mind, that sight mentally. I'm going to go down to Egypt. Tell Pharaoh to let God's people go. We're going to head out of here. But then God ends up sending plague after plague after plague because Pharaoh was so stubborn, because it was God that hardened his heart. Now I don't know why God does some things that he does. He's God, he's a sovereign God, and he knows what he's doing. But the last plague came through the plague of death. And then you know the story. Then finally Pharaoh's like, get out of here. Now they've got a vision, okay? Moses leading God's people. They've got a vision that they are headed toward a land flowing with milk and honey. They're on their way. They're days away from their miracle, from their blessing. How many times have we been just that close to what God had for us? Yep. But we allowed the enemy somehow to get in and start causing confusion.
That's it, Mom.
And then before you know it, we begin to take steps back instead of step forward.
Amen.
But I'm here to preach a message to those today about a vision. For those that just don't want to step back or stay where they're at. But I'm here to preach a message for those that just want to keep on marching forward for the kingdom of God and for God's glory and the purpose that He's got in your life. They was heading forward. They get close to the promised land. God tells Moses the way that I want you to do this thing. How many knows that God will give you instruction if you'll listen to Him? And so God tells Moses, I want you to send one man out of each tribe, 12 tribes of Israel, 12 men. I want you to go into this land and I want you to scope it out. I want you to see if it's lean, if it's fat, if it's good, if there's strongholds in the land. I want the spies to go in there. I want you to send those spies in. And I want you to really scope it out thoroughly. And I want you to go in for 40 days. And then I want you to come back with a report of this land that I want to give you, that I've promised you. So the spies go in, 12 of them. This is God's people.
Amen.
Going into this land, scoping it out. God's chosen people. Joshua and Caleb was part of the 12 that went in. Now the Bible said that Caleb was of a different spirit. I would to God that the people in the church would just not be in the church, but they would get a different spirit about it. That it's not our abilities that matters as much as God's capability. And He's able to do anything that He wants to do. So what do? They go in, now they come back. I'm going to get down here with y'all, is that all right? So then they come back with the report of the land. They've been waiting on them. And here they come, 12 of them. Man, I can see that belly-aching, complaining church crowd. Here they come. You can see it on their face. You can hear it in their voice. They're ready to get out of there because it ain't going to happen. They are negative, 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 negative. And they say, oh yeah, we've been in that land. There's giants in that land. 10 of them did. And we look like grasshoppers in their sight. Instead of seeing the land that God wanted to give them, even though it was before their eyes, here's what they're really seeing. They're seeing the giants instead of the blessing. I just came to tell you, if you got a vision to do something for God and there's a giant in your way, God is going to give you the victory to chop that giant down. But don't allow that giant to stand between you and your blessing. Amen. Hallelujah. We look like grasshoppers. grasshoppers in their sight. In their mind, they didn't only see the giants, but now in their mind, they're coming back, and that's all that they're seeing. The giants, how big they are. We need to quit telling God how big our giant is and start telling the giant how big our God is. Hallelujah. But there's negative. Look at the person next to you and say, everybody on your pew, tell them. Say, everybody on your pew may not be with you. Everybody, just because they come to church, don't mean that they have a vision. Some of the church crowd, this is their vision. We got to be broke, busted, and disgusted to be a Christian and wild around. I love your pastor because he's always smiling. He's always happy. I can hear the smile in his voice the first time that I talked to him on the telephone. God's looking for some Christians that go out in the world and change the world for God's glory because they see that there is a difference in us.
Amen.
We're not walking around all the time long face. Man, there's joy down in our soul. Because we know even though that we're facing problems, and just because we're Christian does not exempt us from the problems and the cares of life.
Yep.
But we know even though that we're in a storm or facing a problem or facing a giant, that there are more for us than there are against us.
Amen.
So they're complaining. We can't go in there. There's giants. There's going to be a war. But Joshua and Caleb, I believe there was something like this. Maybe it happened something like this. Man, yeah, we've been through that land. We didn't just see what they've seen, but here's what we took from it. Here's a pot of grapes that we brought back. These grapes that they picked up at the brook Eshcol. It took 2 men and their staff to carry the pot of grapes. Man, you talk about big grapes. Somebody say, God has a blessing bigger than I can contain. They laid down those grapes before. Yeah, we've been through this land, and it's exceedingly good. And it's true, there's giants in that land, Moses and Aaron. There's giants there. But let me tell you, with God, we can take them down. We want to take our blessing. But here's what happened. Those 10 was negative. Only 2 of them had the good report. And now because of the negativity and division that they had, now everybody else, except Moses and Aaron, they get involved with what's going on. And they start being negative. And they start crying. And they start complaining. You ever been in church service? It's too loud.
Yep.
It's too hot.
Yep.
It's too cold.
Yep.
It ain't loud enough.